Just as kind of an overview start, this is the training for registration. We have people on site today and then also on Zoom. So I'm going to be talking to the people on Zoom and then also all of you. We're going to walk through registration step by step. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat box if you're on Zoom. And I want to say just in general, thank you all for your perseverance and your determination with Athena. I'm really excited for how far everybody's come already. And so this is kind of just to standardize processes so that it's clear for everybody how to walk through the process. The training itself is also available through the Zoom link, the link that I sent with the Zoom links on the email, and it's the written instructions. You're welcome to follow along through that. On the desktops of each Athena computer that you'll use on site, there will be a link to be able to click directly to follow along from there. Any questions before we get started? Okay, so I know some people have had trouble logging in, so we're actually going to start with step one, which is login. So we'll start by logging in. Your login is the first letter of your first name and then your last name, and sometimes with numbers at the end. So something to be aware of is that you do need to change your password once every 3 months or less. And so the easiest way that we recommend for changing your password is actually just to add another number to your end of your password. It's the easiest way to remember it. And just write down your password, somewhere that you can remember and have access to. This first page here, you'll just click on whatever clinic you're at. And if you don't select the correct clinic, that's okay. You can change that once you're logged into the actual system. So we'll just say we're at Crab Orchard today. And then I'm going to change down here. So say that I clicked Crab Orchard on an accident, but I'm actually in Rutledge. I'm going to change this down here to Rutledge. Can everyone follow my mouse there? Right down here, Rutledge. Okay, so just a few things in general. Move over here. A few things in general about Athena. If you're ever, lost or you're not sure where to click next, you just need to go back to the home screen. You can always click AthenaNet here in the corner. So right over here in the left-hand corner, I'm going to click AthenaNet. It's kind of like a refresh. It just resets where you're at. And that's what I always click when I'm just unsure of, where I'm at, what's happening. And that's true for every position. So when you arrive at your screen, it should be set now for everybody, but just in case, you can click on the plus sign here in the corner of your schedule and just make sure all of the departments are selected. Selecting all the departments then has your calendar all set up for you so that you're able to view every calendar. And so when you log on, the calendar will automatically appear for you. You can also select a different schedule date by clicking on the little calendar here in the corner. Click on the calendar, select your date, and you can view those clinics. Today, we're going to be checking in a special patient named Ann Test. Ann Test has a few things she's here to be seen for today. So to start registration, you're going to hover over the patient's name, and then you go over to the right-hand corner on the arrow. So the way you check in a patient and the way you check out the patient is here on the right side. Yes, Carolyn?
Registration people do not have that option. It'll automatically go to that.
Okay.
They don't have the door.
Okay.
Okay.
So for me, I click on this. If you don't have the arrow, you can just click on the patient. So again, just some things in general. When you arrive on this patient's page, what you want to do first for every patient is confirm the name and date of birth. So you should not proceed further until you ask the patient, their name again and also their date of birth. And this is a safety for both you and the patient, so you're not putting incorrect information for a different patient in this chart. This little, we call it a post-it note, will appear right away. And so this will tell you if there's anything you need to be aware of as soon as the patient arrives. So this one says patient always short of breath. So that's, if the patient arrives short of breath, that might be the normal for the patient. So you don't have to be as much concerned about that for the patient. It might also say helpful tips as far as The patient has difficulty ambulating or climbing stairs. And so then you can know maybe the patient has to be seen off the clinic. So you can hide this by just clicking right on the yellow exclamation point like that. Okay, maybe. Well, usually it goes away. You can also click close. Okay. So that's, I mean, in general, a helpful thing to know. There's more than one way to do quite a few of these things. I'm going to teach, our standardized way, but just know that if you have another way to do it, as long as you get the same final end product, that's what's most important. So there's more than one way. I'm going to teach my way, but just know that there is other ways to do it. So this is just general information. Again, this should be 0 because we don't bill our patients. But what you're going to do to start check-in is just click Start Check-in. Okay. So once you get to this first screen, we're going to have some general patient information that's going to pop up. This, for everybody, will say the doctor's name or where they're actually being seen, which this is just a test patient. So we're going to say we're seeing this test patient in Rutledge today. We set all of our patients to the rendering physician as Dr. Renfer. And then this is just some basic information about the appointment. So you can really scroll down past here, and this is where we start entering information. So as of right now, we are not entering in the privacy notice, release of billing information, assignment of benefits. That is something that we're currently in the works for, so more to come about that. But currently you do not need to click any of these or any of the privacy notice for billing information, etc. So the policy information you can just scroll by. So now comes the information to confirm. So most of the information, if we've seen them before, should already be in here. We have the patient's standard, last name, first name, date of birth, their sex, and then we have the actual, where they will be seen today, which again, should be Rutledge. The provider will be Dr. Renfer. And this is another important section. So this section, we will get their phone number, their address, their email, and then if possible, please talk with them about the patient portal. So through the patient portal, they're able to access their labs. They're able to request appointments. They can send us messages. It's a really helpful system. And we've amazingly had quite a few patients already using it. So please highly encourage the patient to register for the portal, but we need their email address to do that. So please try to get their email address and consider encouraging them to sign up for the portal. From then, we'll scroll down a little bit more. Here, some information we need is the patient's emergency contact, and you'll be able to edit the contact, add information, and then also their driver's license. Currently, we're doing this all manually. So a bonus when you actually ask for their driver's license is also confirming the spelling of their name. This is especially key for our Latino patients where sometimes the name was originally entered wrong, but asking for their driver's license allows you to obtain this information and then also confirm the patient's spelling of their name. Patient photo is being handled by our site managers or other trained volunteers at this time. So at registration, you do not need to worry about that step.
Those that don't have a driver's license.
If they do not have a driver's license, then you can skip this point for now. But if you in the future see that it's blank, it's good to ask for it because we do try to fill all the blanks. Martin, question?
Or passport.
Yes. Martin's question was about passport. You can also use the passport.
But there's no way to indicate that it's a passport or an ID at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But at least for especially the Hispanic community, it's very important to at least look at their ID.
Yes. So
that name is changed.
Carolyn pointed out that at this time you cannot put input, whether it was a passport or a license. Yes, Martin.
Mary has a question on Zoom.
Sure.
Can we use a state ID card?
Mary has a question on Zoom. Can we use a state ID card? And yes, you can. That would work just fine. Thank you, Mary. Again, with the patient's phone and address that we just covered, we appreciate if you ask for the phone number at every visit, because that has been one of our barriers with patient follow-up and also with calling to make appointments. So please confirm the phone number at every visit. Okay, so just scrolling further down, continuing with the patient's information. Now we have some basic demographics. Language, of course, is important. And then we have some, again, basic demographics about our patient. Try to fill as many boxes as possible, except for the boxes on sexual orientation, gender identity. This is not information that we ask about or are collecting as a Catholic healthcare institution. Okay. And then over here on your right, you will have some information about the patient care summary, preferred lab, default pharmacy. This area is very important because we're able to e-prescribe. So as soon as Sister Mary Lisa or one of the other physicians puts a prescription in the system, it will be sent automatically to the pharmacy. And so it's important to ask the patient which is their pharmacy and then select the correct one. As you saw when I just pulled up, there were many CVS pharmacies, so just make sure you confirm with the patient which one is their preferred. It's also important for preferred lab because all of our labs are sent out to LabCorp. So if you type in LabCorp in the search bar, then it is the 1932. Here it is. 1932 Alcoa. So that is the same for all of our patients. And again, this information is found in the actual written instructions that are available. Some of you have paper forms still, and then also on the desktop links. So selecting their pharmacy, selecting the correct lab, and then for patient care summary, just asking if the patient prefers that we will print a patient care summary for them at the end of the visit, or if they would like to access it through the portal. And that will just cover informations of medications that were added that day, any changes, so the patient can review at home their information. Okay, and so then this next area is if the patient is on any kind of the prescription programs of CoverRx, GoodRx, you can put that information in there. And again, we try to fill as many boxes as possible, but that would be where GoodRx or CoverRx is. Okay, again, we don't take insurance. The only kind of insurance that if they have the Medicare Part A, we can input that information. So that is actually everything for registration. And then at that point, you would click done with check-in. Before I do that, are there any questions? Yes, Martin?
Sister, if I wanted to ask a question after the training or on the website, how can I do that?
Sure. If you want to ask a question after this training or on the website, on our website, we have a place where you can actually ask your question directly through the website. You can always email us through info@dionox.com or any one of us individually.
SMLC cares.com.
Okay. info@smlccares.com would be the correct email. But of course, you can always pull us aside at any of the clinics and know we're here to help. We appreciate your determination with Athena and working through the process. I am going to click done with check-in for this patient. Once you click done with check-in, it will show you any information that still needs to be completed. So if you miss something, you don't have to worry about it. It will tell you what needs to go in there. So I'm just going to say, make up an email. And then ask if they're okay with receiving automated calls and texts from the clinic. Those could be appointment reminders. And then if they have more than one phone number, that's always ideal to get more than one because sometimes it's difficult to reach them just for one, or some of our patients have the phone numbers cut off. Okay. Yes, Marley?
Where did you click to get that little?
Sure.
Sorry.
Okay. I'll click out of this and show you again. So, oops. I'm just going to show how I got there. So what I did was I clicked done with check-in Once you click done with check-in, then this box will pop up to show you any information that you're missing. Okay, and we're going to say the patient did want to consent to calls and texts. Okay, I'm going to save. Okay, now that I've saved, I'm going to click done with check-in again, and then it will tell me if there's anything else. So this box pops up and it asks about these fields that we left blank towards the beginning of the presentation. And we would like to continue. It's okay to leave them blank. So we're going to click OK. Okay, and then the last screen that will pop up for you here is just about the patient portal. So what we're doing right now is sending the email invitation. So if you send them an email invitation, then they will be able to register at their leisure at home. But because I made up this email, I'm just going to say decline. And then you would just need to put why. Okay. So we're all done here. Once you're all done with registration, again, you can reset by going back up to the very top left-hand corner and clicking AthenaNet. When you click AthenaNet, it will bring you back to the schedule. For those who are clinical volunteers, the schedule will then be orange and say ready for staff, which is the same as ready for triage. So that is all for the registration. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Who puts in the people are living by themselves to will they take care? I don't.
Send for the next.
Oh, that's the next one. I thought you're.
And the question was about for more information, but there will be more information input at triage. And so we will cover that in the next lesson. Again, if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us on the website or info@smlcares.com. Thanks so much.